Hello, people in Qobuz land. Thank you for joining us for the SVS special today. I've got some really good friends of mine joining us from SVS, people that I've known a long time, and people that I've got the absolute utmost respect for a whole bunch of reasons. If you don't know SVS, you may have missed it up until now, but you need to really pay attention to this company. They're up and coming, and it's kind of hard to say that for a lot of companies that have got as many years under their belt as SVS. But back in, I think it was around 2010, 2011, Gary Yacoubian and a couple of partners bought SVS, which was just kind of a small, nice little subwoofer company, but very, very cottage. And they've taken this company and really just turned it into a multinational, unbelievable company that they've redone all their products. They're out there all the time, and they've got real innovation. That's what this company strives for. But they do it in a very human way, which is one of the things that make me respect the company so much, and just actually not just respect them, but really just like the people involved in the company. So not only are they, have great product, but what a wonderful, wonderful group of people. So I'd like to introduce a few of these guys to you. The first is the one of the main owners, Gary Yacoubian, old friend, and I can say one heck of a great mentor. I've known Gary a long time, and when I've got a question about something strategic or how the industry is going, or just want to kind of gab a little bit, I'll call Gary. Gary and I talk about once every, I don't know, maybe couple of months, and just catch each other up on the industry. But he's a great resource, and very, very glad to call him friend. Gary
There
Yacoubian,
he
how are you,
is.
my friend?
Hey, David, so honored to be a part of this. And yes, you're my friend. We're mutual mentors. So happy to be part of your broadcast.
Well, Gary, you're pretty busy. We're gonna usually, I mean, most of you that are watching right now know about this show, and I don't care about the time. If we're having a great time, we just keep going. Well, Gary and I can go for 2, 3 hours at any particular time, and just
We
keep
have
going.
done.
And we just at some point we just go, look, man, I got to go eat, or I'm over this, or I'm tired, or we'll talk to you in a couple of months. But we talk frequently, and I always enjoy it. So thank you for being here, Gary. I know you guys have got another show to do right after this show. I believe it's in about an hour, right?
2 hours, 6 o'clock Eastern. We call it the SVS Audiophile Happy Hour. And probably a similar vein to you, just sharing the joy and fun of great sound. And people have so many questions, so we spend a lot of time with what we call our lightning round, where we answer people's questions in real time. We're literally watching the comments flying by and picking questions and answering them. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, wow. And I've never seen a live stream from a manufacturer that's only like really 10 years in, that have got as many followers as you guys have got. What do you get, like you get like thousands of people watching your casts, right?
Yeah, it usually ends up sometimes not all of it in real time, but well over 10,000 in the in the at the moment, and then in the couple of days after, because it's on YouTube and it's on Facebook Live. And I think why that is when you say a manufacturer, I think you really mean audio manufacturer. And I
Mhm,
really
yeah.
feel like so much of the audio space and the speaker space is predicated on the premise that most people don't care about great sound. So I'm going to talk to a select few who do. And SVS is, we don't believe that. We think people love great sound. We just need to kind of engage with them and say, hey, you can have great sound in your home. We can bring great sound to things you're not used to hearing that in. So, for example, I think a really shining example is Qobuz. And I think so. I guess even as companies, we're mutual admiration societies. Qobuz is through high res streaming, making uncompromised, amazing sound available to people that maybe don't have thousands of vinyl records or thousands of CDs, and the sound is even better in terms of resolution than a CD or a vinyl record. So you're broadening the footprint of what's possible for all kinds of people who love great sound. And that's a lot of what we do too. We're basically telling people who wouldn't normally be addressed in the audio space and the speaker space, hey, you can have awesome sound in your living space. That's our thing.
Yeah, and I know you guys have gotten a lot of people involved in audio that wouldn't have necessarily done it without talking to you. And I really think it's just your nature. You, Nick, Larry, you guys are all real people and really relate with people on their own level. I really appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to bring on the guys. We're going to bring on Nick Brown. How are you doing, Nick?
Great, David. Thanks for having us on. Always a pleasure catching up with you.
Always a pleasure catching up with you guys. I just called Nick, like, I don't know, I think it was like last week or something. I'm going, hey, man, what are you guys doing next week? And as SVS just about always does, they just kind of wedge me in between two things. And they're going, sure, no problem. But it's just the kind of folks they are. Nick, thank you so much for being on. And we also have someone known affectionately throughout the SVS community as the Larry. It's Larry McGough, and we appreciate you being here too, Larry.
It's good to be here. Great to see you, sir. And really excited to hang out and talk music and stuff with you guys.
Hey, man, thanks very much. I really appreciate that. It's always a blast. Well, these three guys make up SVS. I mean, they do the heavy lifting when it comes to strategy and working hard and moving speakers around and recommending what their customers should buy with their speakers, and they always do a great job. And I just wanted to show a couple of pictures like this because you don't often see people this involved in what they do. And these aren't just sort of odd pictures. This is like anytime these guys are showing, anytime they're around, you never see them in the office. These guys are always the guys on the floor, engaging people, talking to people, educating people. And that's a lot to do with their podcasts as well, or their live streams. And I think one of the reasons that you guys get so many people on your live streams is that you engage incredibly well on a technical level with your customers. You let them know what's going on, and well, not just your customers, with people that aren't your customers.
It's absolutely right. And, one of the things that sort of spurred us to doing these live streams was, pre-pandemic, we were doing these road shows basically, where we'd go to some of our top retailers and we'd, show new products, share demos, educate people about, the value of great sound and why these experiences matter so much, and give tips on setup and just, generally rub elbows with our community. And that was such a fun part of our world leading up to this sort of stay-at-home phase of our lives that we're in now, that we're like, how can we capture some of that virtually? And so, I think being able to sort of take that energy and put it into something that's more virtual like this, or like our happy hours, has just been a huge value add. And we've heard from tons of people, validating the value of those, really coming to us and saying, like, I didn't really know who you were, but I sat through one of these happy hours and now I feel like you're my friends. And we're like, we are your friends. So you can't really put a value on that, but it's been a huge and wonderful ride for us to do these for the last 2 years.
So when these guys go out, and you'll see them at the various shows or events at dealers and that kind of thing, nothing's usually too big or too small for them. You'll see stuff like this going on. These guys engage like nobody's business. This is Gary. I believe this is it. Worldwide
in Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania. Am I right, Larry? You would know. You're the showroom king.
Yeah, we're hiding behind Gary there in that photo, but yeah, that's out there at Worldwide Stereo. We had an awesome event with them, and like you were saying earlier, we've gone from doing these in-person events with hundreds of people hanging out with us for a couple hours inside a store, to where now we've shifted it to where it's all virtual. And seeing that, it was a little bit of a different spin whenever we first got that started, but we've done, I don't know, nearly 50 broadcasts in the last 18, 19 months. And it's been really cool to see it evolve and really turn into what it is now.
Larry, I
Well, it's
think
kind of
this is
turned into a
good.
family, hasn't it?
Oh yeah,
That's
community is
really
amazing. Yeah.
that's really what you guys have shown, that you really can help turn a community into a family, which I just absolutely love, because whenever I watch them all the time, when you guys do your live streams, it's just fun. There's no pretension there. That's just, somebody's got a question, you guys answer the question. If you've got advice, you give the advice. And it's really good to have somebody so knowledgeable with acoustics and bass, and how sound is made, and what really would allow you to be truly enveloped in your experience. So you guys do a great job at that. Oh, here's our boy Nick,
Great photo, Nick.
The best
eating a
pick I know.
sandwich, right?
Apparently, it's hard to find a good picture of me, so that's all right. I'm fine with that.
You look like you're vaping there, Nick.
I
Is
know.
that what-
I
I
promise
think
you
that was
I'm not.
legal in the.
I
in the
don't do it
store.
on the clock. I promise you that. What happens after hours, that's separate.
You know,
but yeah.
As far as the happy hours go, the virtual audiophile happy hours, my brother called me up one day and said, "Listen, I just want to give you some constructive criticism." I sat through it and it was super entertaining, but you never pitched one SVS product. It just felt like I was sitting in there eavesdropping on three really knowledgeable industry friends. And he was kind of framing it up as a criticism. I'm like, thank you. You totally captured it. We're not there to pitch products, and it's not an infomercial. It's just a celebration of great sound, but also we're answering questions and clarifying things that people are confused about, and they want to have great sound in their lives. And to your other point that, some people don't own SVS, let me tell you, especially at the outset of COVID, when, most speaker brands and audio brands don't really have robust customer service teams, we were getting so many phone calls and chats and things, and still are really, from people who have never purchased an SVS product, but they just want to figure out, hey, how can I make my system work? And we're totally fine with that. We're totally fine with helping people out. And we feel like eventually maybe they'll get involved with our brand in some way.
So this is another thing that I just absolutely love about you guys. I know this about you. I've had people call you guys that I know that have had different brands of subwoofers going, what's going on with this thing? I'm getting this big sloppy thing, and you guys will help them pretty much no matter what. I really appreciate that. I've always had that same philosophy, and I think it's just the right way to do things. If you always strive to do the right things are gonna come back at you. Gary and I both believe this.
Well, we have similarities in our backgrounds. We worked in similar, very, very customer-facing retail operations where you really had to know your stuff about audio. Both of us have crawled through a few attics in our day and walked into people's living rooms to make sure that people are enjoying the products the way they were intended, basically helping fulfill the promise of technology. I know that's been a thing for you, David, your whole life, and it is for me too.
Yeah, well, you guys do a great job at it. Let's see. Let's get into. Well, I do want to let everyone know that we're going. Oh, before I do that, I got to bring one more slide out. Got to.
There's Larry.
They're like
Yeah.
still hard to find pictures of these guys, but this is Larry doing his thing. Where are you, Larry? Do you even know?
That's also worldwide in Philly and outside of Philly. And whenever we were doing these events, we'd all set up we'd set up a big, huge over the top 5.1.2 or 7-channel surround sound system, 2-channel experience, and then a smaller 5.1. And let everybody kind of walk around and experience all of it. And that's what we're doing here. And in the other photos is we were in those breakout rooms so that people could experience the various forms of systems we could put together.
So I've got a question for you, and because I think this would be interesting for the Qobuz audience. When you guys are doing your live stream, what are a couple of the most common questions that you get about, I don't know, SVS or sound or bass, or what are the big questions that you guys get that you think that our audience would be interested in trying to set their system up?
Wow.
I will say the question we get asked the most often is the one we don't answer, which is like, oh, what's your next new product going to be? And we generally shy away from, announcing things before they're announced, and we're making an exception for your show, David. But I think in general we do get a lot of subwoofer questions. It's in our DNA. A lot of the tried and true. What's the difference between ported and sealed? What are the benefits I'm going to get from going with dual subwoofers? But then also there's been a tremendous upswing in interest in Dolby Atmos. And I think specifically with music, people want to understand, is it worth it? Is it a kind of a weird experience where there's like a drummer playing above your head? And so you get a lot of sort of questions around that topic of immersive sound in Dolby Atmos, and how that sort of home theater effect is translated into music. So I would say those, are sort of the wide arching ones, but then we get super, super granular questions about, what's the difference between a 24-bit DAC and a, 20-bit, or, basically really numbers oriented questions where you can really go down a rabbit hole. But, it shows that people are tuned in and they really, have a fascination with this, and they want to get the best performance possible. And you can totally respect that, which, I think has made the broadcast really rewarding, is to handle it on both levels, sort of the high level, but also the really granular sort of technical questions.
We're gonna put up the information in just a little bit about the SVS happy hour. They're going to be doing it today, and about an hour after we finish. You said 6 Eastern time, right?
Correct.
We'll put some info so you folks can take a listen and just see how this thing goes. You'll really like it. I'll most likely be there along with, I don't know, 10,000 of my good friends that also dig SVS. So we've got we showed you Larry. So this is the team. They're a really cool team, and just good guys that are knowledgeable, that love what they do, and they're also just super, super generous every single time they come on our show. And I know they do this on their show as well. They always give away something. We don't ask them, but I was talking to Nick the other day. He's going, "Oh man, this will be great." And remember, we're planning this within about a week of the time that we had the show. He's going, "Why don't we give away a pair of the SVS Primes and the SVS Wireless Primes and the and a subwoofer?" I'm going, "Man, you guys are just awesome. I really appreciate that, and I know that our audience will as well." And I'll find this while one of these guys are talking. I'll put it up on the screen, but this is the system that these guys are giving away today. So once the link is up on the screen, you guys can enter, and we'll be announcing the winner on Monday, this coming Monday. So it's a pair of little SVS Primes and a 3000 subwoofer. Folks, this is an amazing little system. Dan's doesn't look quite like this, but in our New York office, in our managing director's office, this is the system that he's got at his desk, and it just sounds absolutely amazing. The only problem that I had with this system, I don't know if you remember, Gary, or not, or if you remember this or not, but when you were first coming out with these speakers, and I guess it was what, 4 or 5 years ago now?
About 2.5.
Not that long.
Yeah.
Okay, it was 2.5. Oh, but time flies for me. We're at, I can't remember if it was Munich or one of the other. It was a show 3 years ago, and I'm going, well, how much are they going to be? And I knew Gary was going to say these are going to be $900, because that would have been a really great value for this little thing. And Gary said, "No, you remember what you told me they're going to go for $599." I start yelling at him. How can you sell a speaker like this for $599? It sounds way too good. It's got way too much stuff on it. So this is what SVS is going to be giving away, and I'll dig up the link. I apologize. I'm the one that's producing the whole thing today, so things are a little bit slower than they would normally be.
David, you're never slow.
Well, I think so. So you guys did CES this year.
We did.
We did. It was so much fun.
And did you see a lot of people there?
We had, I mean, as far as it wasn't as busy of a show as the last one before COVID, but we had wall-to-wall meetings. We had lots of press, and we had loads of people coming to get SVS demos. So it was it was amazing. Look, David, in the end of the day, what we do needs to be experienced in a physical space, in reality. You can talk about it all day long, but if you can't experience it, there's a dimension of it that's missing. And it was so joyful for us to demonstrate these products. And by the way, and I'm not sucking up, Qobuz was our only way of demoing 2-channel
Yep.
which we used when we were. I don't know if are we announcing anything here? I don't want to say. We had a product a brand new product that's being built right now that we
We're
announced.
announcing it because you are.
Okay. So people were experiencing that critical, important new product of ours exclusively only with Qobuz in high resolution. It was so much fun. We really enjoyed it. And then, of course, in our DNA is home theater, so we had a full-on home theater demo. And Larry, remember when we were calibrating the system, and we were playing demos we hadn't heard together for 2 years, and we just looked at each other and smiled and grinned like we haven't done this in so long. It was really great. So I no regrets. It wasn't as busy of a show, but on the other hand, SVS was really, really busy because there weren't as many audio brands where we were in the Venetian as normal.
So this is how Gary thinks, and obviously the guys as well. This was maybe 4 years ago. Gary and I were talking. I'm going, Gary, I'm done with CES. I'm just not going to do it. He goes, that's not smart. And I'm going, well, what are you talking about? All the high-end guys are gone now, or most of the high-end guys are gone now, and it's just, not a lot there. And he's going, yeah, that's exactly right. That's why our booth is always completely ramsacked. It's like it's always wall to wall, elbow to elbow, because we care enough to actually be there. And there's enough people there that still love audio that we are going to be absolutely packed. I never really thought about it that way. But that's a very smart philosophy, and I appreciate the way that you guys think about that. What is your next appearance? Where are you guys going to be?
David, I would point out that Qobuz is a technology that wasn't even really possible 5 years ago, 6 years ago, wasn't even really possible. So people that say, oh, I don't want to go to CES, they have drones, they have wearables. I'm like, really? Do you want to just focus on that part of what you do that's been around for 50 years? Is that who you want to be? I'm thrilled that we have high-tech products that couldn't have been possible 5 years ago or 10 years ago. It makes me feel a part of what's happening now instead of what used to happen.
It's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Right?
I have to pinch myself like all the time with all of the technology from a source standpoint, which I'm super, super proud of Qobuz, and then the manufacturers on all levels, really, really taking that to the next level. And when I say on all levels, I'm talking about from a recording standpoint. Recordings today are better as a whole than they've ever been, and not just by a little bit. The headroom that engineers have these days, it really makes the engineer's job easier for them to deliver better recordings, and we're all the recipients. So we're not only the recipients of the better A to D converters, but now, just like Gary said, who heard of streaming 24/192 5 years ago? Nobody even talked about it. We just all bought, albums that were high res for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 bucks. They were super, super expensive. Now there's literally millions of them. Thanks for bringing that up. And we're really proud that you guys use us so much. And speaking of that,
well, can I say something on that topic? The music that was being made targeting the broadest people, like Drake's latest thing or Kendrick Lamar, they were all thinking the person is probably going to be using headphones and using their phone, and maybe not the best headphones. Mm-hmm. And now, because I think of brands like Qobuz and maybe folks like us, I do think that current recordings are stepping up their sonic game. For example, one of our go-to demos that I really loved for the product that I'm not going to say, I guess, until you announce it, Nick. I don't want to steal Nick's thunder. We used Billie Eilish's newest album on Qobuz. We played Billy Bossa Nova, which is a track that I think anyone from any age can enjoy. And it has imaging all over the place. It has really authoritative bass. Her brother, apparently, Phineas, really likes delivering bass. But if you don't have the full-on high resolution that's possible with Qobuz, and you don't have a full range system that's capable of reproducing the full fidelity of that, you're not going to appreciate it as much.
So that's exactly what Billie Eilish is saying now too. If you go on YouTube, you can actually watch some videos of she and Phineas going, you know, if you want to hear my music, get big speakers. I mean, they're not technical at all, but they really are. This is a young lady that's got, 20 million fans behind her. When she speaks, people actually listen. So I love that they're actually bringing that message to the general public, because, that means something to their fans, their younger fans. And to me, that is the very thing that can absolutely start a revolution. No pun intended. But yeah, I mean, I'm loving what she's doing. I love the way that they record. And their first album was done in the bedroom. This sort of gives you an idea of how far recording has come in the last, really the last decade. Could you imagine if Phineas were to have recorded Led Zeppelin?
Probably not the first album, but the second album is more sophisticated in terms of how it's recorded. Although I love them both.
It is, but that one was done in a multi-million-dollar studio. The first one was literally done in a bedroom, which show you remarkable. That there's a lot of advancements that have taken place in the last few years that we're all being the recipients of. That I'm just loving life. But speaking of technology, there's a piece that you guys have that I want the people in the Qobuz world to know about. It's the sound base, and that is just like a really cool product that I just don't feel gets enough attention. This should be out there when someone Googles streamers for Qobuz or high resolution streamers. I want to see this thing come up like number 1, 2, or 3. But this is their little prime wireless sound base that literally does everything that most anybody could want out of a product, right? It's the DAC and inputs will do all the way up to 24,192, which will cover everything on Qobuz. 150 watts times 2. So this thing will push most any little speaker out there. It sounds fantastic on the floor standing SVSs. It's wired or wireless. You guys all know my philosophy. When you're doing wireless, or when you're doing Qobuz, I don't suggest wireless typically unless you've got like a killer mesh network. But if you do, this one will do high res all the way, wireless or wired. And the thing is $600 for all of this thing. The only streamer I know on the market that will do something like this that could check all these boxes. Oh, and plus it's a Roon endpoint. The only one that I know of on the market right now is that's of this quality is like the Blue Sound, but you don't get that 150 watts per channel with the Blue Sound for $600. You just get the one basic piece. So personally, I think this is one of those pieces that deserve a whole lot more attention than in the streaming world than it typically gets. And I'm kind of guilty of not screaming it myself. I'm guessing you guys do pretty well with this.
It's been great, and I will say this. I don't like to tip my hat to my competitors. I want to fight them like down in tooth and nail. But I'm kidding, really. Blue Sound and Prime Wireless Sound Base are two products very similar in one sense. We both want to create sound that doesn't have to sit in the background and be there for conversation level. We want to create a wireless smart experience that if you want it for background music, sure, you can totally do that. But if you want it to be front and center, giving you a full-on convincing immersive experience, it's totally capable of doing that. And I definitely think that of the different players in the space that are in the wireless space, I think Blue Sound and SVS are two that have that approach, and not very many others do.
Well, terrific job. This was your first dive into a little streaming unit, and man, you guys just did an absolute wonderful job on this thing.
Thank you.
And I know this thing, Gary never likes to talk about, what they've got going on or the new products or anything, but I can't help myself. I have to. Knowing the philosophy of the company, knowing the guys behind it, I want people to know about these products, because when they come out with something, there's always a reason for SVS to come out with something. I never have seen SVS come out with a product that wasn't either better than the gear that was out there or less expensive than what was available. They've always got some angle to bring something to market that fits into a place that the market needs. And these next couple little products, I know.
Can I say one thing before you show them? I say to our product design team, if you can't tell me in one sentence why this product is going to matter in a big way, I'm not going to approve it. One sentence. Wow, why does it matter? Why is it important? Why should it exist?
So I'll try to, when you flash these next products up, I will try to explain them. It will be in much more than one sentence, but we'll paint a picture of why they're important for sure.
I want to hear the one sentence that someone said to Gary to go, this is why we need to bring out a balanced audio connector. What was the sentence?
You really want to hear that?
I do.
So the cable, Nick could do that. You know what, Nick? I can do this, but I'm gonna let Nick do it, because I'm gonna prove to you that everyone in our company can do this. Okay. Go ahead, Nick. Say where SVS SoundPath accessories, why they exist and why this exists.
Accessories fall into two camps, being a super high-end, esoteric, overpriced experience, or very generic point A to point B. That's the sort of setting the stage. But why our XLR, why our RCA, why our ultra speaker cables matter is because they are that perfect combination of that high-end performance, very, premium feel to them. They have the nice rugged sort of outer coating with the, with the braided jacket, and the connections are super strong, and, gold-plated, 24 gold-plated connectors. It's got all of the elements that you would have in those really high-end solutions, but they're priced in a more inclusive way. So you get that feel, you get that performance, but you're not having to, pay astronomical prices for it. And I know I went way more than one sentence, but
no, that was one run-on sentence.
We'll fragmented.
That,
cool. Yeah, I got that. That was pretty darn good. And Gary at that point said, Nick, that is a great idea. I'm so glad that I hired you. You're awesome. I'm guessing that's how the rest of the conversation went.
Well, we collaborate quite a bit on copy and messaging, because I can be a little verbose, and then Gary can be a little verbose. So then when we meet, then we sort of dial each other back a little bit.
Nick edits me very well, and I do the same for him.
That's awesome.
But I mean, that is the one sentence. If you want to say that, that's exactly what it is. The quality of premium accessories, and you have some background in that, David.
Yeah.
And but affordable, maybe not as affordable as, I won't name names, but the really lowest common denominator commodity type products, but affordable for a normal person to be able to enjoy.
So let me ask you this: your subwoofers, do they have balanced inputs?
Yes.
Two series do. So the 4000 and the 16 Ultra both offer balanced inputs.
So
we didn't want these to only be limited to subwoofers, to be fair. We wanted this.
I know that, but this was the one that I was kind of going for. I was sort of leading you here, as it were, probably not so skillfully, but yeah, man, a balanced cable going to a subwoofer is absolutely awesome. You're going to get, 6 dB of gain on both sides of this. Taking
the lowest noise floor. That's really important about balanced cables, and subwoofers sometimes have a long run.
Right.
So you lower the noise floor, you reject interference because it's a balanced cable. So there's a lot of benefits to a balanced run, even if the output device isn't balanced. It's still worth it because of the low noise floor of the cable. But as Nick said, if you use uncompromised materials, you take a design strategy that is cutting edge, and you make it affordable, then it becomes a choice for stereo cables too.
That's that's awesome. So can you guys give me, because I really honestly have no idea, and if I were just somebody watching, I would want to know. But what are basic pricing on your balanced cables?
Do you have it in front of you, Nick? I can throw one out there. I believe it's going to be $39.95 for a 2-meter pair, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't have it in front of me. So
That's
they're affordable.
Very affordable.
They're affordable, but they're not totally cheap. But they're not like over the top expensive either. And that's our sweet spot. People want quality. They don't necessarily want to spend $150 or $200 for a pair of cables. Some people do. And there's a company in your past where they do that, and they do a phenomenal job, and they're friends of mine. And then there are other companies where they do they deliver on their promise at a super low commodity type price. What about the person who wants to have that high performance, that premium quality, but doesn't want to spend that kind of big bucks? That's who we are.
Absolutely. That's a great philosophy. Then there's a lot of people that go, look, I just want a good cable. I don't want to, like buy something that I could, with enough money that I could replace the wheels on my car. I want something that's going to get the job done, and I'm quite sure that this will do it. And then you guys got another optical cable that, these are huge in the market. So I'll ask you on this one, what do you guys think, like a meter run of this one would be?
I'm sorry, I didn't even know we were going to be talking about these today.
It's okay.
I believe they're about $30 for a 1-meter run.
That's an awesome price. I'm really excited for you guys getting into that next little thing. I mean, it's just one more thing for you guys. You just continue to up your company in all kinds of great ways, but they're always because people have asked, or there's a need in the market for a product like that. And $39 balance cable, you know what? I see a huge need for that. People that are
Our customers actually asked us for that, David. That's when our customers really rumbled for. They're like, "Why don't you do this? You have balance connectors on your subwoofers, and our SoundPath interconnect cables get used in all kinds of applications, not just subwoofers." So this was a little bit of rumbling from our own SVS community.
Congratulations! I'm proud of you guys. Are you planning on expanding this, or are you going to kind of keep it like?
Are you talking about the one? I mean, the biggest one, the one I'm really interested in.
You're going to give
a
spoiler
Are you talking
Gary?
about it?
We're doing a spoiler. How many more do we need to do? I was just going to talk from a higher level with the accessories, and it being one of the fastest parts of our business. We really sort of set the benchmark with subwoofers in terms of performance for the price. And now that we've branched into 2 full speaker lines and accessories, we're seeing that there's a need for this in the high performance audio industry. So not just with audio cables, potentially with audio video cables. And I think you're getting a hint of that with optical, but there may be an even more widely used type of cable coming in our near future. And Gary, I'm going to leave it up to you. I think I probably teased it enough where people could guess.
We're going to be launching. We've done our what's called pilot production, where you make absolutely sure everything that you designed into it and everything that you validated with your prototypes is real. So we're right now doing pilot production of the first SVS HDMI cable, and it is fully 2.1A compliant. So they literally announced 2.1A at CES, and we scrambled and made sure that we were 2.1A compliant. So it's going to be cutting edge technology, the latest cutting edge technology in HDMI, and the quality of SVS cables, we showed prototypes at CES. David, you weren't there, we would have shown you. And we really got a lot of positive feedback about this. Now, this is the first SVS product that is only sort of kind of indirectly linked to the world of audio. So it'll be interesting to see how people welcome it. I'm very excited to see what happens with this SVS HDMI cable.
Very, very cool. Well, listen, we've got like 20 minutes, so I've got to book through this thing because there's a couple things that I do want to get through. We had told you if you're just joining, SVS has got a live stream about an hour after this one ends. It'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you haven't joined the SVS guys for their happy hour live stream, it's a must. It's a lot of fun. It's always so real. As you can see right now, the guys are just absolutely real, but they're just always a boatload of fun. Tons and tons of information that you get out of this. But I think the main thing is the people that listen, which are sometimes upwards of 10,000, they actually get information that they can use right now. And as Gary said a little while ago, these guys give out information that can be used on a lot of different gear, not just their own. And one of the things I really dig about SVS is they don't care. They just want you to have better sound. If you've got their stuff, fantastic. If you don't, no problem. It's really the same way I feel about it. It's like if you're happy with whatever streaming service you're using, they're like fulfilling all your needs. Yeah, I'm just happy that you're doing it. Yeah, I just want you to do it in some way, which is why I never bash any of our competition, because somebody likes it out there, or they wouldn't be in business.
Well, I do think people should switch to Qobuz if they want to hear Neil Young based on the latest news. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I'm glad I never ever mix politics with social. I just don't do it, and I don't mix politics with music. If I did, I would never listen to Roger Waters. He's one of my favorite artists. But if he met me on the street, he probably wouldn't like me very much. It's just, just the way it is. But I just don't mix the two. I never have. It's that keeps me interested in music. That I don't have to have a parameter there. I don't have to make 3 check marks before I like somebody. So one thing I do want to ask you guys before I get to my next thing, and I know you guys are huge into music. Gary, I don't know if Nick warned you about this, but we talked about it the other day. I want to know a piece of music that you guys have listened to in the last 6 months that you just go, oh my God, you have got to listen to this.
I'm prepped, Gary.
First, or
if you're not ready,
are you up first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, I have a couple here, and I won't, I won't pontificate too much on them. But one that my 17-year-old turned me on to was sort of a soulful R&B singer called Thundercat, and I've been really into Thundercat here, just more for some of the background listening while I cook and do certain things. I'm not really listening to it intently, but I find that to be really interesting. Paul Oakenfold, I actually saw on Qobuz. That took me back to some of my college party days. Some of his music I used to listen to and had some flashbacks. So I was digging that a little bit. And then as far as music that I'm most excited coming down the pipeline, one of my all-time favorite bands, Alt J, will be dropping an album called The Dream. I think it's around February 11th. So really excited about that. And then also there's a new band called The Smile. Well, not new, but they've been around a while, with Tom York and Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead. They're doing some live streams out of the UK, I think London, coming up here, and they've got a new song as well. So I've been driving on them a little bit, but that's kind of the new stuff that I've been into, and always on the search for other stuff, which I love Qobuz for, because they have the whole discovery thing, which turns me on to stuff that I never thought I would even want to listen to, and here I am.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. Sometimes I feel like it's just too much, I don't get that intimate experience of listening to one album 100 times much anymore, right? It's like, oh, well, it's the next thing, and then it's the next thing. And sometimes I even forget about something I really dug like 6 months ago, which if you're, that's never happened to me before, but I've never had this much content. Well, what have you been listening to lately, Larry?
Well, when we were in Vegas, the weekend, his new album dropped on Friday, and I flew out super early after the show. My flight was like at 5 a.m. I got to the airport at 3 a.m. and I downloaded the album on Qobuz and was listening to it while I was waiting on my flight. And then when I got on a plane, I enjoy his creativity immensely.
Do you guys, when you get on a plane, do you download a bunch of music on your phone and that's what you use, or are you working, or what do you? That's what I do on my
I
plane.
do music in the airport, but on a plane, that's typically when I catch up on movie content that I haven't seen, and I watch movies on a plane. But music in the airport, just to kind of get me through and make a walk around the airport or whatever, and really enjoy that. And I bought my first concert tickets for a few years coming up in June, so I'm pretty stoked for a show that's coming up here in Dallas in 4 months.
I'm seeing Dumpster Funk in a couple of weeks. I was telling both Larry and Nick about this. They're going, who? Oh, well, let me share this with you. Nick, you took a listen to it. What did you think?
I mean, it's got energy. I love it. I didn't get a chance to go through an entire album. I was sort of doing just 30-second clips from the beginning of different songs, but I mean, I could see myself vibing with that. In the car, on my runs, at the gym. It's got some versatility there.
How about you, Gary? What have you been listening to? You go to a lot of live shows.
As far as new music that might be interesting to your community, I definitely think this Halsey album, which is produced by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, which is 9 Inch Nails. Halsey's obviously kind of a current pop person, but the feel of it is very different, and the sound quality is really, really good. It sounds amazing over Qobuz. For the OGs like me, I'll bring up Neil Young again. He released this Barn, which is recorded in a barn, and it sounds really, really good, and it's wonderful music with Crazy Horse. And then I have to bring in Billie Eilish again. I think Happier Than Ever, which was her second album, is just phenomenal. It's believe for a 19-year-old, forget it. It's super mature. It just really gives me hope for the new generation. So that's music that I would recommend without reservation to anyone with Qobuz.
Yeah, me too. Me too. That's a great. In fact, I'm a huge fan from an engineering perspective of that group. Forget about the music, which is super unique and new, and it's fantastic. But I'm an engineer that's what I've been doing my whole life. And when I hear an album that's recorded like that, it just totally blows me away. I'm loving what's happening with recordings these days. So it's great choices. I just finished the new Kebmo, and I thought that was really good. But we were on a super mellow evening, my wife and I put it on, and it was like going back, when we were just, married. We used to listen to the original Kebmo recording a lot when we were, just before we got married. And she's going, oh, I love this. This really takes me back. And I'm going, well, it's just that guy's style. He's incredible. And then last night I finished for my 874th time. I re-listened to Dark Side of the Moon, and I just was gobsmacked, but cold chill. Just the goosebumps that I get when I listen to this album have never subsided.
You heard it 273 times just at Capitol Audio Fest, I think.
No.
They were every room. I'm like, really?
That's not that big of a problem anymore. That used to be a real big joke with me and a bunch of my friends. It's like, if I hear Hotel California one more time, or if I hear this Diana Krall thing one more time. Yeah. These days, I'm going to these shows, and I'm hearing some diversity. And every now and then you'll go to the guy that you'll hear, and you're going, oh no, not Hotel California again, and you kind of just scurry away.
Yeah, there's a few songs that won't go in any of my playlists, and you hit on like 3 of them right there.
You've got those on your playlist?
I've got the refuse to play list.
Oh, refuse to play. Yeah, I've got a whole list. They did a whole thing in Stereophile about this thing I said about Nas Lofgren. Keith, please go. Just don't come back again. That's great stuff. So join these guys in a couple of hours for the show. And there's something that I want to bring up to everyone now and just present you guys with the the very first Music Truth Award. We've never given one of these away. We created this award Um, Started creating it about 6 months ago because we wanted our partners to know how much we care for them. We don't give these things out willy-nilly. This is the very first one, and you won't see these things like once a day or once a week or once a month. This is a very special award to a company that we hold in the absolute highest regards. Now, just remember, we deal with probably 200 manufacturers, and this isn't to put any of those guys down, but when we started talking about it and deciding who supports Qobuz the very best in the industry with the most heart and the most ingenuity, and then just caring, we all came up with SVS almost at exactly the same time. So I would like to show you the award that these guys are going to get. This is our Musical Truth Award in recognition of your outstanding support of Qobuz and high resolution music and music in general. The Qobuz USA team is pleased to present you with the Musical Truth Award. Gary, Nick, Larry, thank you for everything that you do. You're very, very much appreciated by Qobuz, and just so proud to have you as a partner.
I'm honored. I'm almost without words other than to say that, without Qobuz, brands like SVS that are trying to put the best sound possible out there so people can enjoy what's possible in music and movies. I realize you don't do movies yet, but maybe one of these days. But places
do soundtracks.
Brands that do that, companies that do that, make the world a better place and help us to enable us to make people's lives richer because of music with great sound. So thank you.
And I'd like to layer onto that. I mean, thank you for this honor. I mean, it's great to be recognized as the first of all, because we're sort of the pioneers. But I'd say, it's in our DNA to want to grow passion for high performance audio and get more people into this hobby. And of course we want, we want you to choose SVS, but if you don't, and we can still convert you to somebody who now appreciates great sound and is looking at their, music and movies in a different way, as far as what can I do to get the most out of it, then we consider that a victory. And if you, work your way back around to SVS, phenomenal. But, we're just about stoking passion. And that's, Gary has this ongoing joke when we do pretty much every one of our happy hours. Like, we never want this to be an infomercial. Call us on our BS if this becomes something where you just feel like you're being sold. And that's just so part and parcel to what we try to do on a day in and day out basis, is educate people, show our passion. So hopefully that reflects on them and they sort of engage with it as well. And just sort of put the content first in a lot of ways. And that's why I feel like Qobuz has been such a natural partnership with us, because you guys do have, a focus on excellence and sound quality. And so it's just a perfect fit for us to be able to, collaborate with you in any way.
Well, we love working with you. We love your company and just appreciate what you guys bring to the table. Everybody, remember, if you're just joining us, a couple of things. First off, SVS is giving away a pair of Power Prime wireless speakers, which are incredible, along with the 3000 subwoofer. Oh, wow. One of the things that we didn't talk about that I really, really do want to talk about, because this is not, I'm not Gary. And so I can go, I do want to talk a little bit about your product, but this is one of the products that I want to talk about a little bit, not just because it's a nice subwoofer. It's a nice subwoofer. Tons of power. It sounds great. Tighter than a Honda handbrake. But you guys have done something that I think is like just brilliant. And you added a app that controls the subwoofer, right?
Yes. So each model in our lineup now, starting with our 1000 Pro series, which is where we start as a brand, all the way up to our flagship 16 Ultra, can be controlled via a Bluetooth app from your phone or tablet. And it's super intuitive, super easy to use. You just open up your Bluetooth, open up the SVS subwoofer control app, and connect to the subwoofer. And from there, you can do the basic settings. Like most people are only going to use the volume control on the subwoofer. But if you're really trying to fine tune and get in there and make some super fine adjustments, you can do that all the way from crossover, You can do some parametric EQs like you saw there, and we won't get into that because that gets super geeky, but where you can really take care of any nulls or voids or absences you have in your room, or maybe some abnormalities because you got a funky space. You can get in there and really make some adjustments. You can do phase adjustments, and then you can also save presets. So we talked yesterday for a little bit, you listen to classic rock and there's zero bass in any of the old guitar rock, and then you move into something new. It could be just like the Killers or the Weeknd, and you're just blown away by the low frequency. Well, you can actually get in there and save your personal adjustments based on, you want to save a preset in the subwoofer for EDM, or one for pop, or one for hip hop, or one for classic rock, whatever you want to do. You can do that and adjust it on the fly and just make your listening experience so much better.
Oh man, it sure does. The pendulum. Gary said something about this a little while ago, and we've only got a couple minutes, so I want to just almost finish off with this outside of our pleasantries at the very end. But Gary said this much a little while ago, that the pendulum has swung. It used to be that we were looking for something that had some amount of bass that we could play, right? I mean, there was just not a lot of bass recorded into albums in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And so for me, having something like this, and I'll go between, if you go between Led Zeppelin and Billie Eilish, I promise you one thing, you're going to want a volume knob on your subwoofer because the output is so radically different. And from your chair, you could just sit there and go, oh, I'm listening to Zeppelin now. I'm going to crank up that bass because it doesn't have hardly any. Oh, now I'm feeling it in my chest. Now I'm hearing John Bonham's bass drum, hearing John Paul Jones's bass guitar. This is what that kind of music needs. If you have ever experienced that feeling and you put on and you in your own system, add a SVS with one of these apps, which are, like Larry said, all of them now. And that problem goes away. You can adjust it to where you want it at any point, which is my big thing. I want to hear that bass. If you play me music that doesn't have any bass to it, I got to do something. I got to add it or do something, right? So kudos to you guys for that. I think that was just an absolute brilliant move. So we've been going about an hour. It never feels like an hour with you guys. It always feels like 15, 20 minutes, but we are going toward the end of our time, and we've got only another minute or so. So just to remind everyone, we are giving away a system, so be sure to join us on that. Fill out the form. SVS is having a happy hour in about an hour. I think you guys are on YouTube, right?
Yep, YouTube, Facebook, and there's giveaways there too, and we're giving away some Qobuz subscriptions tonight too.
That's right. We're doing live giveaways, so we'll announce names during the show just for leaving a comment or asking a question. And David and the Qobuz team were nice enough to offer up 3 6-month subscriptions that we'll be giving away on this broadcast, and then maybe 3 more on the next broadcast. So 7 giveaways at the SVS live show tonight. So super excited to do that.
And we will, I didn't mention this, but with the SVS giveaway, Qobuz is going to throw a year of free Qobuz.
Love it.
For
awesome.
You guys. So what have I missed? Did I miss anything that should be brought up or that we just kind of glossed over that you would like to put a polish on?
I mean, we covered a lot of ground. The one thing we did talk about was our augmented reality feature on the SVS site, which is sort of a new cool tool we have. Basically, it allows you to see SVS in your home. We're always trying to adopt new technologies that not only make our product sound as great as possible, but also make the experience of picking and choosing and picturing them in your own home a little easier. So you can go to any of our product pages, use your smartphone, and it'll basically position an SVS product in your home, and you'll see exactly how large it is and how the dimensions fit within your furniture and the look and feel. So kind of a cool new widget that we've added to our site, and encourage people to check it out there. But we got some big product launches too, so I think that's got a lot of our attention and excitement building here for the next few months.
Well, let us know what they're going to be. We'll certainly put them up on the Qobuz social stuff, and we'll have to have you guys back in I don't know, 2 or 3 months and do another live stream with you. I always love having you around. Gary, I think you and I are scheduled for our bi-monthly, quarterly meeting in about 2 weeks. So be expecting a phone call from me then.
Let's do it in Atlanta. Let's hang out.
Dave, man, you are always invited. You've got an open invitation. I've told Gary a bunch, come down around May or June and we're going to go to the river. We're going to go kayaking. So one of these days I'm going to get you on a kayak.
Wear your life jacket, Gary.
I don't know. I better wear my life preserver. I don't know what David's plans are for me.
Whitewater rafting.
Maybe a show at the tavern. Maybe a show at the Tabernacle after that.
Yeah, there you go.
All
Larry,
right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. This has been fun.
Thank
Really
you,
great, David. You're such
Anytime.
a gracious host, and the time really did fly by. Thank you so much.
Guys.
Really appreciate the support of Qobuz. You guys are awesome, and it's just been an honor to be a part of this show.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Thanks again for joining us. And by the way, the sizzle reel that you guys sent, I have never seen anything like that. It looks like you guys had that made in Hollywood. That is so awesome. So with that, I usually never end with the sizzle, but it was so good, I'm going to have to. Everybody in the Qobuz audience, thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next Thursday. We'll have another great show. Don't even know what it is right now, but because I'm producing and I'm doing all of this stuff, but we'll announce it and get it up for you. So thanks again, guys, and have a great show in just a little while. Hang out just a minute, and I'll be right back with you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
David. Happy